Hey, good morning, everyone. I want to talk to you about quite a few interesting things, including something I cannot talk to you about on YouTube. So after we do the first segment today, we will jump over to Epoch TV because I want to talk to you about the Burisma letter that has now been made public. I cannot show it to you on YouTube without risking having the video get deleted and getting a strike. They actually gave us they actually deleted, not Crossroads, but another one of our channels. They deleted our live stream of the IRS whistleblower hearing. YouTube deleted that. And then they said we deleted it, funny enough. But we have, of course, the alert from YouTube. They will not let us show you this on YouTube. We cannot show you this news on YouTube. So you have to come to Epoch TV for that part. That said, though, let's start first with Barack Obama. Because Obama is, funny enough, just coming out of the woods again. Now, technically, Obama has always been behind the scenes. You might remember that soon after Donald Trump came into office, 2016, there were these weird stories that Obama had established a war room. They called it that, actually, a war room. Just down the street from the White House. And there were allegations that Obama was basically running a lot of the operations, trying to undermine President Donald Trump. Now, what happened with this is that after Obama, again, kind of was behind the scenes and so on, of course, Trump gets pushed out of office, Biden comes in, and it seems that he's not very eloquent, and he's not winning over a lot of the middle of the road Democrat voters. And he's not winning over, I think, even a lot of the, let's say, more establishment type Republican or conservative voters. He's not able to capture, in other words, the majority of the middle ground in the whole country, although, according to the polls, he's the most popular president who has ever lived. But believe the polls as you will. I've said my opinion that I believe they're trying to push Biden out, and I believe they either want Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama. My personal reading of the tea leaves, let's say. And Obama, of course, has been coming out of the woodwork again. Now, remember that if Michelle Obama is running for president, nothing has happened with this yet. They haven't announced anything. It's just me making my own analysis and assumptions on what they would love to have happen. Michelle Obama running for president, what does that mean? It means good old Barack Obama gets to come out of the woodwork and campaign once more. And Obama came out just recently. He made some public statements. Remember, the media right now, they're trying to paint Gavin Newsom as a moderate, funny enough. And previously, they were even trying to paint Barack Obama as a conservative, funny enough. Not the way I remembered him, but hey, people have a short memory sometimes. But what you're seeing now is Barack Obama is not as popular, I think, as they may remember him to be. And he kind of shot himself in the foot just recently because he made this big public letter. It was a really long public letter filled with emotion and filled with stories of his youth and filled with just a call for kindness in this country as he made a call for what are actual pornography to be shown to children. and people called him out on it. Let me show you this. Daily Signal says, here's the real reason Obama went out of his way to defend librarians in a banned books letter. It says, former President Barack Obama just came out in favor of porn in schools. And further, it states, Obama's letter emphasized a core American value, namely, the idea that the solution to bad speech is more speech, not censorship. I could agree with that. I agree in the marketplace of ideas. That was not what was expressed yesterday as, again, RFK Jr. went and testified before Congress, and literally the Democrats held a vote to try to get him, to try to end his entire speech, to make it so he could not speak publicly. They failed, by the way, by I think one vote, because no Republicans joined with them. But they tried censoring the guy speaking at a hearing about censorship. Yeah. And they also gave these long tirades about how, speech is dangerous and not all speech is protected speech. And some speech is just too hateful to allow to be heard. I would say the same thing about some of their own statements. Frankly, some of the people, trying to preach to us this, heart and soul, fight for the goodness of kind speech, were some of the most disgustingly racist and hateful people I hear almost ever when I listen to some of these folks talk. So I don't take them seriously. But Obama came out and also talked about that we need more speech, not censorship. And it says, yet, as with much of Obama's soaring rhetoric, the real message appears between the lines, behind the elusive praise for librarians who help us understand each other and embrace our shared humanity. Obama's letter rebukes the concerned parents who dare to question why school librarians defend sexually explicit books. And this is what Obama said. This is the exact quote. It said, today, this is Obama, today, some of the books that shaped my life, I'll tell you what, it's funny in a minute, that shaped my life and the lives of so many others are being challenged by people who disagree with certain ideas or perspectives. It's no coincidence that these banned books are often written by or feature people of color, indigenous people, and members of the LGBTQ plus community, though they have also been unfortunate instances in which books by conservative authors or books containing triggering words or scenes have been targeted for removal. Either way, the impulse seems to be to silence rather than engage, rebut, learn from, or seek to understand views that don't fit our own. Now, it says that in supporting his argument, Obama shared a link to the American Library Association Public Unite Against Book Bans. And the Library Association, the American Library Association, echoed the organization PEN America also released a list of the 13 most challenged books of 2022. And funny enough, even they admit, the ALA admits, that every single one of those, quote unquote banned books, the books that are most challenged, face these challenges because they are, quote, claimed to be sexually explicit. Now, I have actually done a lot of reporting, and I have personally looked at many of these books. And I will tell you, not only are they absolutely pornographic, not only are they like really pornographic, but they have some of the most disgusting sexual suggestions and scenes that I've ever imagined. It's stuff that I didn't think people did. I still personally do not believe people do this stuff. It is so disgusting. And look, one of the problems they have is that nobody wants to talk about it because it's so disgusting. I will tell you some of the things contained in those books being shown to your children at libraries and schools around the country. They have tons of stuff on incest, like daughters being raped by their fathers, little girls being sexually attracted to their brothers, homosexual encounters among family members, in like cartoons of kids having these types of interactions. Yeah, incest. That's what they're showing your children and promoting to your children. They had anal fisting in a children's book. I'm not even joking. I know it's disgusting, and I'm sorry for even saying that word. But they're showing your children anal fisting. They had blood play. I've never even heard of blood play. That was in a kid's book being shown to your kids in schools. In schools, they're telling the kids that. And I mean, the list goes on, because what they're promoting is what they call it, the technical term they have for it is comprehensive sexual education. And it's based on a couple things. One is it's pleasure-based sex ed, meaning they're not teaching safe sex, they're not teaching birth control. Well, they are as well, but they're teaching it as pleasure. And they have sexual games children play, where, for example, they put like sexual lube on their hands and they have the kids go and like rub their hands against each other. I don't know how many of you remember what it was like going through puberty, but, physical touch like that can be stimulating. And if you're telling kids to put lube on their hands and go and do that, you're encouraging the kids to engage in that type of stuff. That is sexualizing children. They have games of like dildos and they put condoms on them. They do this with your children. They're doing this with your children. And yeah, I don't know how it's defended. Actually, I do, and I'll tell you how. It's defended because they made exceptions to laws that would normally restrict you from showing pornography to kids. They make exceptions for the schools and they make exceptions for the libraries because they believe that libraries and schools should not be held liable if, for example, they need to teach the kids about, safe sexual practices or how to avoid rape or, what consent is and these types of things, which I think most of us would generally agree with. Personally, at the rate it's going, I don't think schools should have sex ed at all. I think that they have utterly destroyed their trust in, being able to have those kinds of conversations with our kids. I think they've shown themselves to be perverts and pedophiles and groomers. And I believe that they should lose their ability to have those kinds of conversations with children until there can be enough reforms to ensure that, grooming of children, sexual predatory behavior, and other things do not happen among our children, because that's what they're doing. Now, in addition to comprehensive sex ed, in addition to the pleasure-based sex ed, which they're having with your kids, in terms of of course, the education and the way the books, and keep in mind that also informs the kinds of books that they're able to show your kids. In addition to that, they also teach comprehensive sex ed, which is where they normalize everything. Normal sexual behavior is put on the same grounds as the most extreme, bizarre, niche, never even heard of, creepy fetish that has ever existed. And what comprehensive sex ed means is that if somebody did it, it's painted as normal. If somebody behaved in a certain way sexually or did something extremely depraved, that is put on the same ground as normal sexual behavior. They're teaching children, your kids. And look, I'm sorry if this sounds lewd. And look, I mean, this is my take on it. We avoid having these conversations because they're uncomfortable conversations. We avoid having these conversations because they're disgusting. But they're having these conversations with your kids. And if you think it's disgusting, if you think this is disturbing to hear, if you don't like hearing it, they're telling this to children. And so as a matter of informing the public, even though I don't like talking about this stuff, as a matter of informing the public, I need to say it. So forgive me. Don't shoot the messenger as I tell you these things. They teach anal sex as a new form of birth control. They're teaching your kids that. They're teaching that to children. Think about that. It's bizarre stuff. Planned Parenthood just did like the alphabet of sexuality, and they have stuff that I've never even heard of, stuff I've never heard of before. That they're trying to paint. They're trying to convince kids that it is 100% normal, right? They're trying to convince kids that it's 100% normal, and it's absolutely not. Totally not normal. And so, then you have Obama here defending it. And I think Obama's shooting himself in the foot. And frankly, if you look at the reaction to Barack Obama after saying this, people are disgusted with him. People are disgusted with Barack Obama right now for coming out and trying to defend these people. And I will tell you just briefly the reason why they do this stuff. A lot of these studies on children and sexuality comes from Kinsey. And Kinsey wrote several books on it. His books, which describe children as being sexual beings, was based on studies where they sexually molested children all the way from infants all the way through their teens. And it includes, scientific studies where they are sexually molesting infants, sexually molesting toddlers, sexually molesting adolescents, prepubescent children, pubescent children, and then teens. Again, that's Alfred Kinsey. And of course, I've actually I've read this book or part of it. I've actually done reporting on this. I can 100% confirm that it's in there. It is utterly disgusting. Literally, the education system for the stuff is based on pedophilia. It is based on actual pedophilia. And these people should be in prison. These people should, I think, maybe face the death penalty for this kind of stuff. But no, it's not happening. It's being used to educate America's kids. And I think parents have every right to be concerned about it and every right to go to these school board meetings and express why they think it's wrong. And here we are as a nation. I do think that these folks are on the retreat. I do think that the woke protests where people are boycotting companies that support these types of disgusting programs and these types of disgusting behaviors, I think that that is the new trajectory of this country. And I do believe that as people get more and more informed, they're going to increasingly see these things for exactly what they are, which is disgusting, depraved, and, again, what you would call sexually grooming. They are grooming children. And there's no other way to put it. That is the technical term for what they're doing. Yeah. And again, sorry to sound lewd, but my job is to report to you information and news. And unfortunately, the news sometimes is disturbing. So you got to bear with me. I'm not gonna avoid telling you what's happening just because it can be disturbing sometimes. I think it's important for parents to know this stuff, and especially as the country's having debates on this stuff, it's important that you know this stuff. It's really serious stuff in my opinion, and again, I think a lot of people do avoid these conversations because it is so disturbing. All right, let's jump over to Epoch TV. Then I'll talk about the Biden bribery scandal, because that letter that they were withholding from the Congress actually has not only been now received by Congress, but they've released it publicly. So let's jump over to Epoch TV, and so I will see you on Epoch TV. And folks, thank you for being here. Real quick too, we have a flash sale. We have a flash sale going on. So those of you on YouTube who want to see what I can't tell you on YouTube, namely about the Biden bribery scandal, because they won't let us show it to you, jump over to Epoch TV, and I'll see you over there now. And folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.